I did not expect the level of sensitivity that we faced in some of the comment sections on our social platforms around telling people who we thought called Tennessee daddy. But apparently, we got told we were cherry picking sports, got told that we were typical Tennessee fans, and someone even commented that Tennessee was had lost 9 straight to Georgia, and this year was going to be 10 straight. And I said, "How is that going to happen? They're not on the schedule." And this Georgia fan proceeded to say, "Oh yeah," and said, "Well, we'll meet you in the SEC championship game." I was like, "Man,
I
listen,
appreciate that. Thanks for
I
that
appreciate
confidence.
that."
I
I was
appreciate
like, I
that.
would love that, but I don't think that's going to happen because I think the two of the three favorites to be in Atlanta are on our schedule. So in Texas and Texas A&M. So, anyways, welcome to the Rocky Top Rundown. My name is Alec. That other voice you heard is none other than Logan Thompson. Logan, how are you enjoying the midday of a summer break Wednesday?
Uh, well, I've had to do chores. I got up, so been
Well,
kind of.
it's part of
But
it.
I kind of chilled out yesterday, so it was a fair trade.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. There's we're in that weird lull of the summer where not much is going on unless you're good at basketball as a college, as a university. And I would say that the University of Tennessee tends to be pretty good in the sport of basketball. And the reason that's important is because the NBA draft started last night. Round one was last night. Round two is tonight. And Logan, all the doubters of Mr. Nate Ament, I think have some apologizing to do because all season people said, "Oh, it's not going to be worth it for him to go to the draft. He's not going to go high enough, all of that." Well, guess what? Nate Ament was drafted 13th overall to the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think it's going to work out for him financially. I don't have the numbers pulled up, but I believe his total contract will his first year he's still going to make around 4.5 million, and then that contract will probably be valued somewhere around 35 million by the end of it, if I'm doing the math right in my head. So still going to work out pretty good for him. Maybe not 35 million, maybe closer to 20, 25 million, but still, Nate Ament is getting paid.
Yeah. With being the 13th overall pick in the draft, it's tied for the highest drafted Vol ever, and that at the 13th pick, he is slotted for a 4-year rookie deal worth approximately 26 million. So the first year salary will be guaranteed between 3.6 and 5.5 million dollars.
And it's not like Milwaukee has. I don't know how much our listeners pay attention to the NBA, but Milwaukee does not have any limit to any wow any limits to their limitations to their cap salary at the moment, as they just traded Giannis away, who would have been their biggest salary eater. And so Nate's probably going to get to teeter closer to that 5.5 million side than the 3.9 or whatever you said on the low side.
Yeah.
So definitely the right financial move for him to go to the NBA.
Not if you ask people on the VolQuest board. There was multiple posts last night. I should have come back. Ah, blah, 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 blah.
Nah,
Listen,
he had to. It would have if he had gone 20th. One would have been a steal, but two, that's where it's like, man, maybe he should have come back. But long term, it was the right move for him to go to the NBA.
doesn't the risk is so much greater than the reward.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, maybe you come back and then maybe you're, you know, a top 7 pick or something like that, and
right,
you know, but now you can start. You're now it's all about basketball
right.
in the gym all the time. Like, just go ahead and get it started. You know, what happens if you? I mean, he finished this year hurt. What if he gets hurt next year? Like, it's
Right.
just
Even
not worth
worse.
it. Yeah, it's
Like
not
the
worth
way
it.
he got folded against Alabama. Like, what if that
Yeah,
happens? What
yeah.
if he got lucky in that? Like, and shout out to strength and conditioning for Tennessee basketball to have him in the flexibility.
Yeah, flexibility. Let me just tell you, I was sitting with my wife last night. We just got done eating dinner, and I was like, "Oh, hey, the McDonald's All American game's on." I didn't think that was be now or whatever. That's weird. Turned on, it was last year's.
Okay.
You think Nate was small in college? Go look at him in the McDonald's. It is unbelievable how much weight they put on him in
Right,
the few months that he got there. I'm talking about this dude looked like you couldn't see him when he was sideways on the TV screen.
right.
So shout out to Garrett Mendenhall
Yeah,
and that strength staff because that dude, I mean, it looked like he'd added 20 pounds of muscle just at his, and I think he had, but
right.
like you can actually go see it now if you go back and look at him in the McDonald's All American game, which would have been like last April, as opposed to him playing basketball in October at Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah. And so, looking ahead to, with his landing spot with Milwaukee, Logan, Milwaukee no longer, I don't know how long ago Damian Lillard left, but Damian Lillard's not there anymore. I'm so disconnected from the NBA. Someone said CJ McCollum was on the Hawks, and I was like, man, I missed that one.
Yeah,
But, there's no, I would say the most seasoned guard on their team is probably Tyler Harrow, just because of what he and the Heat did for that couple year stretch when Jimmy Butler was there. So as far as a young guy learning from older guys, there's not a ton. Kyle Kuzma's there, Kevin Porter Jr. kind of, but it seems like
Torian Prince.
Torian Prince, yeah, and it seems like overall though, Nate Ament is going into a situation where he's going to play and he's going to play a lot because he's going to have to. One, he's a lottery pick, but well, I think he's technically just outside the lottery
No,
at
he is
13.
13th lottery.
Okay,
13th lottery.
so he's a lottery pick. He's going to be expected to play, but two, I mean, I don't see a bunch of names on this list that are going to be vastly better than him, and he's going to be part of Milwaukee's attraction piece along with Braden Burries, who's taken before him at pick 10, I believe. And so, it's there's still plenty for him to learn. Miles Turner being on this roster, I think, is someone that can teach him a lot about physicality, things like that, and how to grow into your body in the NBA. Because if I remember correctly, he was on the smaller side and has put on weight as he's spent his time in the NBA. But all that to say, personally, I would like the pick better if Giannis was still there to teach Nate how to put on weight, because you want to talk about someone that's transformed in his time in the NBA. Look at Giannis when he first entered the league versus now. I mean, it's two different aliens you're looking at. But overall, how do you like the landing spot for Nate? We're not NBA experts, but part of the NBA. I was explaining this in a YouTube comment to someone that was ripping Nate apart, saying he's going to be bust and everything. I'm like, man, it's not just the player; it's fit too. I mean, you see it in the NFL. Look at Baker Mayfield's a great example. He goes to Cleveland, seems like a bust, goes to Tampa Bay, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league now. At least a top half quarterback. And so with Nate, I think the fit is probably good. It's good opportunity for him to get tape put together, and then maybe in his free agent window, he gets to get into a lane where he gets to go somewhere that's better suited for him. I would have loved for him to join a Warriors. I mean, I would have hated for him to be on the Thunder because then I couldn't have rooted for him. But at least on those teams, there's guys that would have been able to help him grow into the shooting side of him, which is potentially where his money's really going to be made in the NBA.
I'm trying to figure out why you couldn't have. I just don't understand all the Thunder hate. That just blows my mind that people hate on the Thunder so much. I would have absolutely loved for him to go to the Thunder. I would have jumped on the Thunder bandwagon hardcore. I think that would have been awesome for him to go there.
I think for me,
But
it's more so I just don't like dirty Dort, and then I mean the Thunder are just hard to watch.
yeah,
Truthfully, they are a difficult basketball team to watch, and that's not to say that the Knicks are much better to watch. Jalen Brunson
well,
and SGA are not too far off from each other as far as
I love SGA's game.
foul merchants.
No, that's overblown. That's a social media rumor. Like
Uh,
people
well,
got
I,
mad at the Spurs, and like all they did was to absolutely destroy SGA. Like if you don't want to, like why would I not want to go to the free throw line? I'll pump fake you all day if I get to shoot 20 free throws. If you're just going to jump at everything.
well, no, I don't disagree with that. It's also on the officials for like sometimes there's contact, sometimes there's not, and that's just officials being bad. And then SGA gets the heat for it, but it was also just I don't know. It's the Thunder. It's the same. We were talking about not to go down this rabbit hole, but when you get to a certain level of success, you just people start to hate you for whatever reason it is, and it's just for me when I've watched the Thunder, I hate that the Thunder are such an unwatchable team. When it comes to the sport of basketball, because of how so it's same thing with James Harden when he was in the peak of his foul baiting and when he was in Houston.
I liked James Harden at Houston. Like, I don't know. I just don't foul.
I
Like,
mean,
you know he's gonna if you know he's gonna do it
that's fair.
if he is foul baiting. But I mean, I don't know. Part of me wanted him to go to the Warriors because he got to play with Steph.
Yeah,
But then I mean, the whole Lou Dort thing is the same thing for Draymond Green.
correct.
So, but I think that Bucks. This is a good platform. He could become a franchise player there.
Yeah,
Um, but it's also a long leash in a window because their rosters are going to be not very good.
correct.
Like he's not they're all allowed to grow together and
Yeah,
things like that.
seems a lot like
So
the Pistons when they took Cade Cunningham first overall in whatever year that was, and now
yeah,
look at them.
yeah, exactly. So I think it'd be good. His biggest thing, and I think everybody knows it. Like he can score at all three levels. He didn't shoot the ball as good at Tennessee this year as he could have. Now he was
Right.
hurt. He was adjusting to the physicality.
Also
From a
adjusting to his new position.
from a 3-point standpoint. Like he's a better shooter than he showed at Tennessee this year, and he still
Yeah,
shot around 30% from three. So that'll continue to develop. But his mid-range game is elite. He's going to get stronger. Like Kevin Durant, not that he'll be Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is one of the all-time greats. He's like at worst a top 15 player. And if you want to put him in your top 10, then I'm not really going to sit here and argue with you. Um, so not that he'll ever be Kevin Durant, but like Kevin Durant doesn't lift a weight hardly, and he's perfectly fine in the NBA, obviously. So, like him having to get super big or anything like that is not a thing. So, I think it's a good spot for him. You get to play with some shooting with a Tyler Hero. Braden Burry's going to be a good player. And you don't know what the Bucks will add over time either. So, uh, it's not a bad spot. I was just glad he didn't go to Sacramento. Like they got through that. They got was that one stretch of like I think 7 and 8. Who was it? It was Sacramento and Brooklyn. I was like, I really don't want him to go to those two teams. But anywhere from like 9 to 13 was perfect. It was like the Bucks, the Mavs, the Warriors, the Thunder. And it was like
yeah.
that would be okay.
And the Grizzlies
So
were there somewhere there too. And as much as I
they were at
selfishly
16.
would have loved for him to go to the Grizzlies, I'm glad he didn't drop to the Grizzlies because I don't know where the franchise is going currently. So again, it's all about fit. I mean, Dalton Connect is a great example of the second he gets out of Los Angeles, I think he's going to become a key role player on a team somewhere, and I think probably could be a Tyler Harrow type for a team somewhere, like Tyler Harrow with the Heat, not Tyler Harrow now, where you don't really hear about him much as long as he stays healthy. But he's just got to get out of LA where he's not getting playing time because he's behind Austin Reeves and another guy that I don't remember. But there's clearly some issues in LA with Connect, and so it seems like Nate has potentially dodged that by getting to Milwaukee.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. That's a whole nother pod, but it's he shouldn't play over Austin Reeves, but I don't know how he doesn't have somewhat of a role there outside
Yeah,
the fact that he just must really struggle defensively. Like
I
that's the
mean,
only thing you can think of. So,
maybe you gonna tell me Austin Reeves is that much better at defense?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just telling you like concepts and everything else. Like I've seen them get mad at him on the bench when he has played. That's the
Okay.
only thing I can think of is that. But like I'm sorry. I know we weren't going to talk about this, but like I watched Jake LaRavia be absolutely butt booty terrible in Memphis for like 5 years, and you
Yeah,
tell me he can play over Dalton Connect in LA now?
that's who I was thinking
No,
of. Yeah,
give me a break.
right.
Ain't no way. Jake
Yeah,
LaRavia is doo doo.
yeah,
So I'm like, so yeah, like he was done once they tried to trade him. He was done.
right.
Like it sucks that they haven't moved him yet.
Correct.
So like, and right, really, that trade would have been awesome because he was supposed to go to the Hornets. You know how much fun he'd be with the Hornets now?
Mm-hmm.
Con Kneppel, LaMelo Ball,
Yep.
like that'd be great now.
100%.
So hopefully he
100%.
gets moved this offseason and doesn't just have to rot on the end of the Lakers bench.
Yeah, hopefully he gets moved tonight. With the second round of the draft being tonight, hopefully he's part of a package deal. I'd love to see the Grizzlies go get him. The Grizzlies could use the shooting, and he is a low risk, high reward type player in my mind. Dalton Connect is, and so you know what you're getting as far as a shooter goes, and you would think you can. I mean, he was not a defensive liability at Tennessee. He wasn't the greatest defender, but I don't know. It's just interesting to see
Yeah,
when he does go to the G League when on his two way. I mean, he's putting up 40, not 40 a game, but he's put up almost 40 a couple times in the G League. So it's like the offense is there. So there's going to be a spot for him somewhere in the league. He's just going to have to find it and then capitalize on it. So
sure.
before we transition over to looking at tonight, I just want to say thank you for listening. We are having a ton of fun. Was breaking down some of our numbers to Logan before we started, and it's just cool to be able to see the interactions that we've had with, honestly, with how small we are at this point as a podcast, as a community. And so really appreciate all the support we've had. Please make sure you like, subscribe, rate, share, all of the things. It costs you nothing, and it helps us tremendously. Every other follower, every comment, every like, it's just another thing that we can use to help potentially get some connections, get some cool interviews, access to things like that. And so really excited about where things are going. But Logan, let's look at tonight. Tonight, there are you pull up any mock draft and you're gonna see both Jacoby Gillespie and Felix Okpara across the board being drafted at some point tonight in the mid to low 40s or later. And if that happens, that will be the second straight year of multiple players being drafted in the NBA draft, and another progression of in 24 you had one. Last year, two with 24 was Dalton Connect. Last year was two with Chaz Lanier, and then Jemai Mashak. Which, I mean, can the Grizzlies be any happier about that pick? I mean, Jemai Mashak was the ultimate Swiss Army knife for them this year, and they needed him. I mean, the amount of playing time he got with the situation that they got into, but got Jemai Mashak with the last pick. And then this year, if both Felix and Jacoby get drafted, then that'll be three picks. And so we're seeing this progression of more players getting drafted out of Tennessee and out of Rick Barnes' system. And then to even add to that, Cam Carr got drafted last night, and he was a player that should have come out of Tennessee, transferred to Baylor in the middle of the school year last year. And then, Tobe Awaka has a pretty solid chance, which if it weren't for, what's his name? I just blanked on, that transferred to Arkansas.
Notice they do.
Jonas Adu. Tobe Waka is probably still on this roster. Now, what does that do for the other bigs that ultimately ended up leaving as well? I don't know. But I think all of this points to, if those two get drafted, or if Owaka gets drafted as well, you're talking about five guys that have been in the Barnes system that have the Barnes fingerprints on them as a coach. So, Logan, what does this say about Tennessee as a basketball program under Rick Barnes? Does this bring any validity to the success that Tennessee has had, even though people would argue Barnes has fallen short because, regular season Rick type of conversations?
Oh yeah, I mean, it just shows you. I mean, this is the best the program has ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the best stretch. That he's good. He's been more Elite Eights in his time than the program had ever been before he got here.
Right.
They ended a 30 to 40 year drought of the SEC tournament. They won it back in 2021, and they hadn't won it since 72.
Right.
Before he got here. They've got multiple regular season championships. He's got, in the last 8 years, they have 5 first round draft picks. I think they had, before that, they had 4 total. I think Bernard King, Dell Ellis, Allen Houston, and then whoever, just blanked on whoever named him, the highest Vol drafted ever. I don't know. But he's got as many first round draft picks now as basically they had before he even got here, or right around that number. So, I mean, it just shows you the talent that he brings in, the development that they have in their program. So I think it just re-emphasizes the fact that this is by far the best that Tennessee's basketball program has ever been. Hopefully it's not the best it ever will be, because hopefully he continues to get better, and when he decides he's done, He's he's transformed this job. This is now a top. Is this ever going to be Duke or Carolina or Kentucky? No, no, that's not what this is going to be. But this is still one of the top jobs in college basketball. Now you got one of the biggest arenas. The fan support is huge. Um, I mean, he's done what Tony Vitello did with baseball. He has
Yeah.
transformed this into one of the top jobs in the country. Will it ever be top three? No, it won't be. But it's one of the top jobs in the SEC.
Yeah.
You can make the argument that it's like what Kentucky's number one. I mean, it's a top three job in the conference,
Right.
probably.
Well,
I
and
don't know
even
who.
then,
Maybe Florida's ahead of it.
I think I would argue. Well, I mean, Florida's good, but there's so much more that goes into a job than just all right. It's a good university with good history, all this stuff. Like I think about you talk about North Carolina. I'm not going to sit here and suggest even remotely suggest that overall North Carolina is a better job than Tennessee. But in conversations I have with true, deeply rooted North Carolina fans, there's a lot of issues between boosters, fan base, and the administration. Whereas in its current state, Tennessee is very aligned between administration, maybe main big boosters, definitely. Fan base is the fan base here. It is what it is. But when you have that alignment between the administration and the boosters to where the administration can look at the boosters and say, trust us, here's our track record, that brings in a lot for a prospective coach of going, all right, when I'm able to come in, I'm going to have the financial backing and the financial resources to get done what I need to get done to win. And I think that's a big overlooked portion of the state of Tennessee athletics right now is the fact that every single coach outside of Tony talks about how Danny White is aligned with Donnie Plowman and how she's aligned with who is over the entire system. I just blanked on his name, but when you have those three levels all on the same page, and then the coaches have full autonomy to go do what they want to do, that's a big, big part of being able to get a new coach. Now, I don't know. It'll be very interesting when Rick retires to see where Danny White goes with the Tennessee basketball hire, because you think Rick's probably going to try to keep it in house, but I also don't know that any of his assistants would be able to take the job and run with it, which that's a whole another conversation. But all that to say, yes, you're right, and then I also think there's just a part of it of where the administration is currently is a huge win as well.
Oh, for sure. And I agree. So there is I mean administrative support, and then what's your recruiting like? Reason I say like why I said Florida was, I mean, there's talent in the state of Florida. Just because So what's your recruiting base? Like, there's just a lot that goes into it. So, but I mean, kind of back to your original question, just to sum it all up, I do think that hey, you know what, like this just is another notch in the belt about how much he has changed this program because he's going to have three guys drafted tonight. Or I'm sorry, after tonight he'll have three total guys drafted in this draft. So
And that
yeah,
I'd be shocked. I think Felix is. I would feel more confident in Felix getting drafted for sure. With the amount of guards that are still left on the board, I could see where Jacoby falls just right outside the draft. We get to the end of
yeah,
the draft and he's the best available or something like that. But I mean, I also think a team would be dumb to not take someone that has a shot like he does. That you can take him, bring him in, and he doesn't have to be the ball dominant point guard. And when he's just off ball and able to shoot, what does he look like there?
sure,
Um, so, but yeah, I think that it ultimately only continues to solidify the run that Tennessee is on. I think that it is a true testament to what Rick's able to do in the portal, because that's the other thing.
sure.
Nate and Jemai are the only two. So two out of the six are guys that were recruited to Tennessee out of high school. The other four, if Jacoby and Felix both get drafted tonight, are transfers, which is also
You're talking about in the
great.
next 2 years, like the
Sorry,
last 2 years. I mean,
yeah, over the last three drafts,
okay.
if Jacoby and Felix get drafted tonight, four of your six that have been drafted in the last 3 years are transfers that you've brought in and made better and took them from being off radar. Jacoby was pretty on the radar for everybody, but you know, Chaz was not a huge household name. It's not like a
Well,
situation.
Chaz was because they got no bidding war with Kentucky.
Correct,
Like
but
that was a big one.
I'm saying like Jacoby made a splash in the tournament, entered the portal. Everyone knew
I
who
got you.
Jacoby Gillespie
I
was.
got you. I
Chaz
got you.
Lanier was, those that follow recruiting knew who Chaz was, but it wasn't like you went out and got. I think Jacoby's probably the biggest name that a
Sure.
general fan knew coming in.
Sure.
It's not like Juke Harris where he's a top five transfer player that you're bringing in. You're
Sure.
bringing in guys that are more off the radar because you see what's in them and
Yes.
turning them into NBA prospects, which only continues to speak to the staff as a whole. And I think the fact that, you're also able to take a guy like Jemai Mashak, who teams were leaving wide open from three, and fine tune the rest of his skill set, even his shooting, to the point where a team just takes a flyer on him at the end of the year, and he ends up being their starting five man for the last at least third of the season. And it just continues to speak to those things. And I think that I'm very interested to see where this upcoming year goes when you have your entire roster made up of, outside of two guys, made up of transfers or high school guys. And what does your six transfers you brought in, what are they all able to accomplish? Are we in a situation where next year at this time we're watching the draft, seeing our the top three or four players from Tennessee's roster going in the first round like Michigan did this year? I think the
Yeah.
potential is 100% there for that. And I'm just really excited to see where this program is. I think I am skeptical, unless Rick says something midseason. I'm skeptical that Rick is going to do much past this year. But as far as continuing to coach, like I have this gut feeling that this is his final year, especially if they hit the Final Four, which I hope for Rick's sake they do, because that'll be a tough pill to swallow if this team does not make the Final Four.
Yeah. Well, I think speaking on that a little bit, I think what you were saying about all a lot of these guys that have gotten drafted, transfer portal guys. Well, I think that just shows how much he's adapted, and like all his peers, like left the game, like Coach K, which Coach K was up and known to be like Jay Wright, who has had plenty of years ahead of him. Even Dusty May leaving and going to the NBA now, things like that. Like all these college coaches didn't want to mess with all this NIL transfer portal stuff, and it's like It's rejuvenated Rick.
Yeah,
like Rick has completely reinvented himself in recruiting. In fact, if you listen to a lot of the local media guys around here, they say he likes it better.
Yeah,
it's easier. It's because he's a no nonsense guy. Like from a standpoint of like he's just going to shoot straight with you, be truthful. And you don't have to recruit near as much. Like it's guys know what they want. Come in, you meet with them. It's just very straightforward, and I think he really likes that, and it's rejuvenated him, which is why I think that he could go a few years past this next year. But yeah, I just think like it just speaks on how it's a credit to him on how he's reinvented himself and how he's like molded his coaching style, and how he hasn't changed his coaching style, but he still has transformed himself to be able to coach and recruit in this day and age, which is completely different than it was 20 years ago, shoot, even 10 years ago. So I think it's a credit to him on how he's able to build rosters and acquire all this talent that we have not seen here in Knoxville in really ever, outside of maybe a small Bruce Pearl run. But
right.
I mean, even a lot of these teams would have beaten even Bruce Pearl's best teams.
Well, and even to that, there's also the part where Rick has been able to squeeze the absolute most out of every player that he's had here. I'm very interested to see where the majority of the roster, the entire roster left to go either the NBA or portal. I'm very interested to see, all right, what does Cade Phillips look like at A&M? What does Amari Evans look like at Texas? JP at Michigan. Are they going to be at the same level that they were last year, or are they going to take a step back, or are they going to take a major step forward? Because I think that's also something to watch in all this is how Rick is able to truly get guys in their best positions and let them succeed there. Now, I do think JP will probably be able to take a step forward because the offense will be more open for him there. But there's also the part of defense. Is he able to continue those things? But he's also able to take one man's trash and make it a treasure, and turn these guys, which I don't really think any of these guys were trash, but I mean, you just look at the portal guys he's brought in, the high school guys, like a Zakai Ziegler type of situation where no one wanted him, and Rick said, you come here, and then turns out he's your starting point guard essentially for 3.5 years.
The greatest point guard in school history.
Correct.
Well, he is.
And a runner-up for defensive player of the year, and an award that was stolen from Jemai Mashak. But it's like he would have been Zakai. You would be saying that about Zakai if Jemai wasn't on the team at the same time. And you're able to take a guy like Jemai Mashak, and you could go down the list. I think that we've talked about this before. Tobe Waka is probably the outlier in the statement, but no one's left the program and then gone and just been abundantly better somewhere else. Because I think Rick truly gets the best out of everyone. And even then, Tobe just went to Arizona and did the same thing there that he was doing here.
Yeah, I was going to say he really did. Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't like he took a major step forward.
Correct.
He put on a ton of weight. I mean, when I saw him this past season, I was like, oh my goodness, do not get in that man's way.
But he was pretty big here. He's just a wall.
He is, but I mean, I swear he put on 20 pounds of just pure muscle.
Yeah.
But all that to say, basketball season is going to be really exciting. Before we get there, it'll be football season, and that could be really exciting, really frustrating. Who knows? But we'll get to talk about that more. It's all but confirmed at this point. We have an interview coming up with a former player of Jim Knowles when Jim Knowles was at Duke. He was a safety there, and so going to be able to discuss with him what the back end of the defense looks like, why is this defense so hard to get, and what do we as Tennessee fans need to expect out of the base of Jim Knowles' defense. We will ask, what does Jim Knowles do on 3rd and long or 3rd and short with his corners? That way we know what to expect if they're going to be 15 yards off the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 5. So don't worry, we'll ask that question.
Listen, I just hope he doesn't do the Butch Jones method and line his defensive lineman 3 yards off the ball. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but go back to the Georgia Tech game in 28-17.
Yeah.
And to stop the triple option, Tennessee's strategy was to put their defensive lineman 2 to 3 yards behind the ball instead of right on line of scrimmage. And you can imagine
brick
how that
baby.
went.
Brick by brick.
Yeah.
So anyways, there's all that. We've got all the discussion coming up. Don't worry, we'll have more jersey discussion. We need to talk about the worst jerseys of all time as the Nike era continues to wane and come to an end, and the Adidas era picks up, and so we'll get to talk about all that fun stuff. So make sure you stick around, see what we've got coming up. Logan, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap?
I'm good.
All right, everyone. We'll appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.